I think so. Looks like everybody, right? Yeah.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Monday, February 7th, 2022 City Council meeting via Zoom. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Alderman Santee. Alderman Santee? You're on mute. Can you? Hey, Vic?
Operator.
This meeting's going to be quiet tonight.
All right, he's here. Alderman Glab?
Here.
Alderman McClatchy?
Here.
Alderman Harding?
Here.
Alderman Schrack?
Here.
Alderman Devine?
Here.
Alderwoman Miller? Here.
Here.
Everyone, please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started on the consent agenda, items 5A through 5I. Is there any items that the council would like to pull for separate consideration? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve 5A through 5I in the consent agenda. Alderman Strack,
I'll make that motion as presented.
thank you. Second. Alderman Miller,
Second.
thank you. Discussion on these items. Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Strack?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderman Harding?
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
yes,
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Thank you, council. I actually passed up public comment, so I apologize. Is there anyone from the public that would like to make a public comment on items that are not on the agenda this evening? If so, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. Last chance for public comment. Okay, moving on. Individual action items. 6A is a motion to approve a resolution designated the intersection of Friend Avenue and Church Street as honorary Gary and Marcy Gow Way, as recommended by the McHenry City Council. Director Strange, you want to go ahead and present this?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So as you're all aware, at the January 17th City Council meeting, the 5 applications were considered. 3 were approved. We're bringing them forward for adoption of resolutions. So we'll make 3 motions because they all have separate votes for the separate resolutions, which is nice to give to the family. And just so you're all aware, we're still in process as far as scheduling unveilings and everything. We've been in communication with all the families and we're just waiting on dates. So there have not been any dates set, but as soon as they are, we will communicate those to you. Obviously, we'll wait till it's not February. So if we can just make 1 motion for each of them, or one at a time, I guess.
Thank you, Troy. All right, I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve. Alderman McClatchy,
for 6A, motion to approve resolution designating intersection of Friend Avenue and Church Street as Gary and Marcy Galway.
thank you. Second. Alderman Glad.
Second.
Discussion on this item? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman McClatchy?
Yes,
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Harding?
Yes.
Alderman Schrack?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is 6B, a motion to approve a resolution designating the intersection of Friend Avenue and Maple Avenue as honorary William J. Effling Way, as recommended by the city council. I'm looking for a motion and a second on this item. Alderman Harding,
I'll make a motion for 6B as presented.
thank you. Second. Alderman Santee,
I will second the motion.
thank you. Discussion on this item. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Harding?
Yes.
Alderman Santee?
Yes.
Alderman Glab?
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy?
yes,
Alderman Schrack?
Yes.
Alderman Devine?
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller?
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is 6C is a motion to approve a resolution designating Judy Lane as honorary Pamela J. Altoff Way as recommended by the McHenry City Council. Looking for a motion and a second. Alderman Santee?
I will make the motion for item 6C, designating Judy Lane, Honorable Pamela J. Altoff Way as presented and recommended to the council.
Thank you. Second? Alderman Miller?
I'll make that second.
Thank you. Discussion on this item. Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderman Stratt,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
yes,
Alderman Glad.
Yes.
Thank you, council. I'm going to go ahead and open up for public comment for those three items, 6A through 6C, and give the opportunity for the public to speak. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on behalf of any of these three items, 6A through 6C, for these resolutions designated in certain intersections in the city of McHenry?
Is Pam Goff here? She was considering possibly attending.
I don't see her.
She was the one I was in communication with. She got the
Yeah, I don't see her.
two. All right.
All right. Moving on to 6D. 6D is a motion to approve an ordinance granting a use variation for an adult use cannabis infusion facility in the O2 Office Park District located at 3900 Mercy Drive. Director Palarecki, you want to go ahead and present this?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. The petitioner, Future of the Leaf Infusers LLC, is requesting approval of a use variation to allow the adult use cannabis infusion facility in the O2 Office Park District at the property commonly known as 3900 Mercy Drive. The public hearing was held before Planning and Zoning Commission on January 19th of 2022. There were no objectors present at the hearing. The Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the petitioner's request to several conditions of approval. I do want to let the council know that there was one yesterday or this morning. It came through on our comments form in the website. One individual in the Shores subdivision had concerns about the location of the facility. So that was the only thing that we have heard from the general public. With that, the petitioner is here tonight. If you have questions for them, I'll turn it over to council.
Thank you, Ross. At this time, looking for a motion and a second to approve 6D as presented. Alderman Strack,
Motion to approve 6D as presented.
thank you. Alderman Harding for a second.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Discussion on this item by council. Alderman Santee, go ahead.
Yeah, just a general question is any of the, I understand it's wholesale, but is there any tax on the product as it's going out the door that goes to the city of McHenry? And
Who can answer that?
Is that Dr. Van Pelt? Are you on the line?
This is Dr. Rosbell.
Oh, Dr. Pelt, sorry.
All right, go ahead, doctor, if you can go ahead and fill us in on that.
go ahead.
So all of the products, of course, are wholesale products directly to other dispensaries. So there's no retail involved at all.
Okay. And may I ask, with a project this size, a building this size, how many dispensaries would you be how many dispensaries would you be supporting with a facility like this?
Well, when we consider the number of dispensaries that are in the state of Illinois, hopefully all of them, right?
Really? Okay.
Because we tend to have, we will have some exclusive products that only our infuser location will have.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. And just for the record, not a question, but it was in the minutes on the planning and zoning and in this packet is that I believe there's agreements in there in regards to like landscaping, correct, Ross, about what we can and can't do, and we have to permit that or approve it as we go along in the build out.
Correct. They have to follow all the zoning requirements for a new business, or landscaping, lighting, things of that nature.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vic. Alderman Glad, go ahead.
And the only question I had is on that email that you received from an objector, what was the reason for objection?
Neighborhood is right behind it, which is not a safe place for this operation.
McHenry Shores isn't right behind this place, is it?
No, Pebble Creek is.
Double Creek is though. Okay. Thank you.
Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Yeah, just for my knowledge, what's your definition of infusion?
So infusion is when you take, let's say, like oil, and you infuse it into like a brownie, or infuse it into candy, or infuse it into whatever products that are edible products that can be sold to other dispensaries.
Gotcha.
Dispensaries are selling, you know, they're selling pure products like the flour itself. But these are products that are edibles for individuals to enjoy. And so we'll be doing the infusion process, which is actually infusing it, baking it inside the actual product.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And that's why, like, the consideration of what the individuals are talking about with the neighborhood, they're probably thinking that there's going to be traffic as far as customers coming in doing retail, and not understanding that there is no retail.
Okay. Thank you.
Alderman Devine, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question about the building itself. Is there going to be a build out on this building? I walked the property today and checked it out, and I didn't see like a loading dock or a secure loading area. Is everything just going to come out the doors in the front, or is there going to be a build out for this building? It's kind of confused.
Just a little build out, not build out really, more like providing a
Great.
door to be able to get things in. That would probably be the major thing.
Okay.
But
Chris,
we've had some people.
somebody parked in front of our house.
Ma'am. All right.
Yeah,
So I know like the dispensaries have like a secure loading dock. Will this be secure for the transportation?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, we'll have all of the security measures in place, cameras and all of that necessary just for secure. We have to have that according to the Department of Agriculture. There's some things, there's some guidelines that we have to follow as far as that goes.
Okay. Thank you.
Wayne, could I ask something?
Yeah, go ahead, David.
Ma'am, I'm the city attorney. I'm just curious because I've never had an infusion place come through any town that I'm associated with. Is there cash in this building? Where does the cash transfer take place? How's it paid for?
Yeah, most of this will be, again, when you're talking about wholesale, it's billing.
It's what?
Billing.
Being done
Oh,
through.
you bill it. Oh, I see. Okay. You just send them a bill and they send you a check or whatever. Not a check, but whatever they do.
I
Okay.
hope they send a check.
Yeah, whatever.
Crypto.
I don't know what they do.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Alderman Devine, is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Any other questions by council?
Mayor, if I could just add one thing real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
Think of this as a manufacturing facility. It's basically a large commercial kitchen. Health department approvals are required. The state has rigorous requirements that they will have to follow for security, cameras, things of that nature. So anytime you're dealing with the cannabis, the state guidelines basically will supersede anything that we do or that the building department has. So we'll make sure, obviously, that all of that is followed. Health department approval, things of that nature.
All right. Any other questions by council? I'm gonna open up for public comment regarding this item. If you do have a public comment, please unmute yourself one at a time, and you can go ahead and start now. See none? All right, Going back to council, I am looking for approval. No, we already got a motion in a second. So clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
yes,
Alderman Glad,
Yes.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Next item on the agenda is a 6E is a motion to approve a sign variance to Well Now Urgent Care located at 1840 North Richmond Road for an additional 68.55 square feet of wall signage. Director Palarecki, you want to go ahead and present this?
Thank you, Mayor. So as you're all aware, the construction has started on the Well Now and Aspen Dental in front of the former Stock and Field building. The Well Now has requested an additional square footage amount of 68.55. They are allowed 2 wall signs. However, they do want to exceed the total square foot that's allowed. So I do also want to note that on page 2, underneath the sign variance guidelines, I made a mistake and refused to delete a line in there that said staff was looking for denial of this. Staff is not looking for denial of this. So that's my mistake. I'm sorry about that. With that, I'll open it up for questions.
All right, at this time, we'll go ahead and ask for a motion and a second for 6E as presented. Alderman Santee.
I will make the motion on the sign variance requested for Well Now at 1840 North Richmond, and with the sign variance, those 4 attached items, correct? Is that the way it should read?
Those are the criteria for approving a sign variance.
Okay, with the 4 items, criteria to approve the sign variance.
Thank you. Second. Alderman Strack.
I'll make the second.
Thank you. Discussion by council. Alderman Glad, go ahead.
Yeah. Besides the wall signs, will they not be on the marquee that's out there?
The Stock and Field sign is specifically for that property, the former Stock and Field. That will be used for the storage facility, but they are allowed a freestanding sign on the outlot as well. It can be no taller than 6 foot, and I believe it's 32 square feet. So they can, as long as they abide by those guidelines, there's no variance required. So they are allowed an additional freestanding sign out there, yes.
Yeah. So as far as in their proposal, they basically, for their hardship is the fact that people need to find their facility. I mean, I can't see where they couldn't reduce the other 2 sides so that all 3 could be the same size. If they've got the freestanding sign, it'd be pretty easy to find the place. So I just don't see the need to take and approve something just because they want more signage. I mean, at first, and I didn't even realize the freestanding sign. I was thinking more of the monument sign that's out there. But if they've got that type of signage out there that they're going to be able to be allowed to have, then I don't see approving additional square footage on the wall itself, unless they were going to give up the freestanding sign in lieu of having the extra square footage on the wall. That's my take on it.
Any other council members? Have any questions, comments? All right, I'm gonna open up for public comment. I see David Bossy. How are you, sir?
Fine, thank you. So thank you for recognizing me. I'm one of the developers of the property, and I just want to point out that these are all separate ownerships. So we have nothing to do with the Target building. We are building the Aspen Dental and Well Now building. There are 2 tenants in this building, and I'm just asking for consideration. I've been working this project for four years now. It's been very difficult, and I'm trying to accommodate the retailer as best I can. They do need identity. And I want them to be successful, and I'm asking for your consideration to give them the variance they requested.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Anyone else from the public that'd like to make a public comment regarding this item? See none. Going back to council, any questions by council before we move on? Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
No,
All right, thank you. It's passed. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, item 6F is a motion to approve a temporary use permit to Ultimate Convention Company located at 1792 North Richmond Road to conduct an art convention on February 26th and 27th and a home and garden show on March 19th and 20th. Director Palarecki, go ahead and present this.
Sure, thanks, Mayor. So the petitioners have signed a lease in this tenant space with the intent of putting a convention center and holding once a month shows. For instance, as you're looking to approve tonight, an art show in February and then a home goods show in March. This type of use does require conditional use through the plan with approval at planning and zoning and city council. So the temporary use permit that's being asked of tonight will cover the first two shows so that they in concurrence can apply for the planning and zoning hearing and the city council approval in March so that they continue to use the assembly use. One thing that has been brought up that I want to bring to council's attention is I did email out an objection letter from an adjoining property owner. There is an OEA that is unenforceable by the city that incorporates all of the owners in that shopping center. So there's a handful of different owners. It is being, this use apparently is not an approved use under the OEA. And I think Dave Bossy, you're on tonight, and Steve Schwartz is on to speak to that. Again, that is not enforceable by the city of McHenry as a private agreement. However, like we would do with a homeowners association, we could put a condition on here that this applicant needs to provide us with an approval from the OEA prior to issuance of the temporary use permit or proceeding with the planning and zoning. So with that being said, if there's any questions I can answer, or Mr. Bossy or Steve Schwartz, I think is on.
Thank you, Ross. Appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion and a second to approve, and then we'll go ahead and David and Steve, I'm sure will both speak on behalf of this item. So 6F, I'm looking for a motion to approve as presented.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion, but I would like to add a condition to that motion. So I just want to figure out how that works.
Yep. Go. So David,
Yeah, take it.
go ahead and make
If it's the condition Ross was referencing, it's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can go ahead
So-
and make the motion.
Got it. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the temporary use permit to Ultimate Convention Company located 1792 North Richmond to conduct an art convention on February 26th and 7th and a home and garden show on March 19 and 20, adding the condition of the OEA approval being provided to the city of McHenry before it goes to planning and zoning.
By all landowners that are adjacent, or it's part of the OEA.
Part of the OEA. So as long as there's an OEA approval issued and presented to staff before it goes to P&Z, that should suffice, I believe, what we're looking for.
Fair enough.
If I could add, there's another condition that needs, I don't know if it needs to be verbally spoken, but it's a condition that prior to the issuance of the temporary use permit, a formal packet and filing fee must be submitted for planning and zoning before their art show. That's just to make certain that they apply and that the process is started before they start their conventions.
Okay. So we can go ahead and add that.
Sean, is that your second condition?
That's already in the motion, David. So we
Oh,
just need to
okay.
add, the OEA
Got it.
language.
Yep. All right. Looking for a second to that motion? Alderman Santee? You're
Thank you.
muted.
I will second the motion.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're gonna go ahead and ask for discussion by council. Is there any questions by council to Steve or David or anyone, staff? Alderman Glad.
Yeah, I just want to state my disappointment, the fact that here we are 19 days before they want to open this up and it's first coming to council. Yes, they signed the lease, but I believe they've known that they've had to come to council since beginning of December? Ross?
Actually, Alderman Glad, yes, as I had to pull this once before because they did this, they asked of a similar thing for a January show. There were some issues with the building and the tenant space itself, so they asked that I had pulled it, that I would pull it. I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty certain that they're not going to be able to pull off an art convention in February. I did ask them to be on tonight and they said they could not make it. So, you know, I wanted them to be able to explain their situation, but they asked that I proceed without them. So.
I'd say I've got reservations of their cooperation. The fact that when they were first told that they had to, I understand that they signed this lease and everything else, but again, it's business and they're supposed to follow, suit with all the things that are required. So that's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Yeah. So this is for 2 conventions, right? That's what we're approving. That's what's on the table right now, just for 2.
Correct. It's for the art convention in February and the home and garden show on the 19th and 20th of March. If they wanted to do something in April, May, June, July, they have to go through the planning and zoning and city council approvals in order to do that. This is only a temporary approval for 2 conventions.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments by council? All right, open up for public comment. Steve or David, you want to start us out? I'm sure each or maybe both of you have something to say.
Appreciate.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, appreciate the opportunity to speak this evening. I have been speaking with Ross and wanted to come before you this evening. Obviously, I submitted a letter not in support with respect to this particular use. There's been transition and acquisition buyer came in truly at the end of last year, and then in a matter of about 30 days, sold it to another party out of New York, the Davco Group. We put them on notice or sent them a letter, and we're following up on a legal responsibility regarding the OEA. But the OEAs that have been recorded, the original, the first, second, and third, were deeply negotiated, worked through, and have a series of obligations and things that are not allowed specifically. Separate and apart from this particular use, there are some other uses that were set forth that we're working through, and I'm sure we'll have conversations with the Davco Group. They're in communication with Ross and the city. Various parties have come through, and as Ross indicated, your zoning is obviously separate and apart from the OEA, but we certainly, like to be good neighbors, but the center's got to, maintain a first-class nature to it and design. The outlot that's going forward, we're working on the corner outlot that we hope to come forward with very soon. And at the end of the day, we want to make sure the right use and users and parties who come through. Obviously, this petitioner is not on the call this evening, has been going back and forth with the city, but at the end of the day, how they're going to operate, what they're intending to do, who they're intending to come through, the parking, cleaning, a whole bunch of things, just a whole bunch of a series of questions. So at the end of the day, it's not a use that's allowed under the OEA. We've let the new ownership know that, and we're going to be following up with our counsel, our legal counsel, but ultimately we would think this should be something even on a temporary basis that should not be supported, but clearly on a conditional, on a going forward basis, this is not something we support as it relates to this particular space. David, I don't know if you have any comments as well.
No, again, Steve, you covered it all. So thank you very much. You spoke on behalf of both of us.
All right, thank you both. Any other public comment from the public regarding this item? See none. All right, clerk, can you please call the roll for 6F, which is the motion to approve a temporary use permit to Ultimate Convention Company located at 1792 North Richmond Road to conduct an art convention on February 26th and 27th, and a home and garden show on March 19th and 20th with a conditional use regarding the OEA. They would have to come before the city with a OEA approval, right? In
Yes.
order for this use. So
Before planning and zoning.
Yes, that's what he said.
Oh, he just said they had to come before the city, but they have to come to the city before planning and zoning, just to clarify what was said. That's all.
all right, clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Santee,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
No,
Alderman McClatchy,
yes,
Alderman Harding,
No.
Alderman Devine,
No.
Alderwoman Miller.
No.
All right, that motion has failed.
Yeah, right.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, David.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
all you're doing in that center.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is 7A is a discussion item, conceptual presentation, Blake Senior Lofts. Director Palarecki, go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. So the petitioner Lincoln Avenue Capital is requesting preliminary feedback on a conceptual proposed 52 unit age restricted for 55 and older, 3-story apartment building on 2.5 acre tract of land on lot 2 of the Authentics at McHenry Subdivision. The development relies on the petitioner being awarded low-income housing tax credits from the Illinois Housing Department Authority. If the city council finds the development desirable, then the petitioner will work with staff on submitting a formal application of planning and zoning for the public hearing in March. The petitioners are on, Hume, are you ready?
I am,
You have a
yes,
presentation.
I do. I'm gonna do a screen share.
I think if you want to go ahead, yeah, and share your screen. There we go. So if council recalls, council approved the Authentics behind the Aldi. Lot 2 was heavy discussion on what was going to be on lot 2. So this particular development would take a portion of lot 2 and be an age restricted 3-story apartment building. So Hume, if you want to go ahead with your presentation.
Good evening, council members, mayor and staff. Thank you for letting me present a conceptual presentation on Blake Senior Lofts. But before I do that, I want to give a quick introduction of Lincoln Avenue Capital. Lincoln Avenue Capital was founded in 2016. We're a national developer of senior and workforce housing. And since our inception, we've developed or acquired 88 properties in 14 states with 15,000 units housing 43,000 residents. We've had pretty significant growth in that time, as you can see by this graphic, going from 5,400 in 2018 to over 15,000 today. Here are a few examples of some of what our properties look like. We do have a strong emphasis on serving our residents. So during the pandemic, we made sure that we did outreach to our residents to provide food, masks, diapers, sanitizers. And we made efforts to connect them with various public benefits. Here's another example of one of our properties. This is in the Bay Area in California. We were able to convert a market rate property into predominantly affordable housing and keep that level of affordability in a rapidly gentrifying market. Here is an example of one of our buildings from our architect, North Arrow Partners. And this will give an idea of kind of the look and feel we're attempting with Blake Senior Lofts. So the property is located just east of the southeast corner of Richmond Road and Blake Road. And we think it's well situated for this type of use. To the north, you have Aldi's, you have various shopping, fast casual dining, medical uses. And then to the west, you have more food services. To the south, you have a number of personal services and shopping. And then to the northeast, there is a large multifamily development currently under construction. And then directly to the east is undeveloped land. And again, so the summary is 49 units of senior housing. This will be new construction, 3-story elevator building, and it will be age restricted for 55 and older. So here's the site plan. So this orientation, the north is this way. So Blake Boulevard is to the north, and we're making use of the existing easement, access easement, to get into the site, and then we're providing access to the rest of the site to the east. So there will be continued access, and we're happy to grant any additional easements needed to make sure that that access is available for subsequent development to the east. Here is a rendering of the front elevation. And in terms of materials, we're looking at a combination of fiber cement board, fiber cement shingles, face brick. So we are going to meet the 75% masonry requirement with those types of materials, and we do seek feedback and are happy to work with the city to ensure that we strike the right balance in terms of materials and look design. Here is a rear view of the building. And then here's just a quick snapshot of the landscaping. We plan on using all native or climate appropriate vegetation. And then with regard to our proposal for rezoning, we're looking to rezone from C5 to RM2. And with the RM2, some of the requirements, the height is not to exceed 40 feet. Our building is about 38 feet. Site area required, given our unit mix of 39 1-bedrooms and 13 2-bedrooms, is 111,000. We're just above that. And actually, when we submitted for 52 units. We're actually going to be looking at 49 units. So we reduced the size of the building since our zoning application. We'll meet the parking requirements. We'll be providing 110 parking spaces. We'll meet the setback requirements and the various minimum space requirements. With regard to community benefits, the biggest one is we will be meeting significant unmet need for senior housing in the area. We did a market analysis of 10 senior properties within a 10-mile radius. They collectively have an occupancy rate of 99.6%, and most of them have pretty significant waiting lists. So there is a very strong demand for this type of housing in the area. This will also provide about 50 construction jobs and 2 permanent jobs. And then we will have a community room, and often we allow the public to use it. Sometimes we've used those for polling places and other like events, community events. With regard to community amenities, this will be an elevator building. This will be completely accessible. We'll have a community room, fitness center, laundry rooms, on-site property management offices, and this will be a highly sustainable building. So we'll have very high efficiency heating and cooling systems, high efficiency lighting, very well insulated building. So this will help make sure that our residents' utility bills will be relatively low. With regard to property management, LAC will own and we will provide asset management services and hire a third-party property manager for the long term. And in terms of staffing, we will have one property manager and one service technician 5 days a week. The technician will be on call 24/7. And with regard to security features, we'll have key fobs, security cameras, and on-site staff. So that concludes my overview of the development, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Can you go ahead and unshare your screen so that way I can see everyone as a. Thank you. I have a few questions. I know you said that the that roadway that's existing easements was going to be also being able to be used for lot 1 down the road if easements were granted. But what about room for fire trucks getting into this space? I just don't see how you can get a ladder truck into that site. Is that going to be looked at? I'm sure
We
that's
will
going to be
definitely look at that. Yeah.
okay. That's
Yeah, I can chime in on that a little bit, Mayor. You know,
Yeah, go ahead.
this is kind of, it's conceptual right now, so obviously
Yeah.
everything has to be met. If that's widening of the ingress and egress to be able to get the ladder trucks in there, reconfiguration of the parking islands, so we have access through, that's still everything that has to be reviewed at this point.
I just know that was a big thing for the apartments down the way, so.
Correct.
Also, on your presentation, you said targeted age 55 plus. I know a lot of these residents don't like me already for these apartments, but 55, you know, it said targeted age 55 plus. Is it definitely 55 and older for this site?
Yeah, so it's an age restriction for the head of household to be 55 and older.
Okay.
If the village so desires, we can make the 55 age restriction apply to everyone, not just the head of the household. So we're flexible on that.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had. Go ahead and open it up for City Council. Alderman Glad, go ahead.
The first thing was, you know, I was under the impression that lot 2 would be developed totally after lot 1 and not piecemealed, because that's exactly what we're doing here. 38 feet tall is the building, and the building is how tall, or how much taller is the property? About another 15 feet off of what Richmond Road is, as far as topography of the land. So you're looking at basically from the roadway, it's going to be at least 43 or 44 feet high. We say this is for seniors. Another thing we need to look at is as far as seniors is the fact that we can't be looking at every development that comes in for seniors as, oh, you know, this is for seniors only, because that's going to only last for so long. You know, it's all the baby boomers like me, and another 10 or 12 years, 15 years down the road, there's probably not going to be anywhere near the need for senior housing as much as there is at this time. And we should be looking at the future. As far as the architecture of the building, this is not senior assisted living, correct? This is just regular senior living. Mr. Hume? Correct?
That is correct. Yes, it's independent senior living.
So all our seniors are going to be wrapped up where they've got a couple windows and that's it. No balconies out there, no architecture really to speak of. Yes, you do have a few bump outs, but as far as the quality of living for seniors, it's pretty dismal over there, because all they've got is a window to look out and that's it. some of our better developments would have patios or something to that nature for seniors to be able to at least get some fresh air and sit out in the sun. I'd like to see a development more so as far as through, especially for seniors that, well, for anybody that lives in those type of buildings, that they have a more of a availability to, let's say, Mother Nature out in front, you know, out right outside their door. And of course, I'd like to see a lot more masonry than what I see on this rendition as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Glad to hear you. My concern is that we just approved multiple apartments right behind there. And one of the big concerns was Blake Avenue getting all this traffic. So, you know, if this is 2 or 3 years down the road where we could see what's going on in that area, I might be more for it, but I can't be for this right now.
We did commission a market analysis, and it looks like in terms of trip generation, additional trips, the weekday AM would be 3 additional in, 7 additional out. Weekday PM would be 8 additional in, 7 out. And the traffic consultant concluded that there would be no additional mitigation required. It's a fairly minimal impact given the population.
Thank you.
Go.
Alderman Miller, go ahead.
Wait, did I just hear you right that you're going to put a 52 unit building in and you're only thinking that there's going to have 7? Did you just say 7 single digit 7 outs as far as traffic?
That is based on the data from the traffic study.
How does that compute? 52 units of 55-year-olds. You have 110 parking spots, but you only think 7 people are going to leave?
I defer to the experts on this. This is the same group that did the study.
I get it. I'm not going to be argumentative about that, but it just doesn't compute in my head that you have 52 units, 110 parking spots, but you only think 7 people are going to leave. How many other developments have you done in Illinois?
So Lincoln Avenue Capital, we are closing on an acquisition rehab in Chicago. I've spent my entire career in Illinois, so I've done about 15 developments in Illinois personally.
Okay, and how many have had IDA vouchers with them?
All of them.
Okay, so this is a development type that you're comfortable developing?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And so clearly you've been successful in securing IDA funding and IDA approval?
That is correct.
Okay. And you're comfortable with the design here? And this is a design that you've done elsewhere?
I am comfortable with this design, yes.
Okay. And what do your residents say? You know, our package here wasn't real complete. What do your residents say about your development? Do they like it? Do they love it? What is your feedback been?
Yeah, I mean, we're providing them a brand new apartments where nice appliances, highly energy efficient. You know, we're providing a nice elevator building with various building amenities. So we have the community room, we have the fitness area, we do provide ample parking. And this is just a fantastic site in terms of community amenities, just walkability to shopping and grocery and to public transportation. We will allow pets, so that's another benefit. And we are providing high quality senior housing at an affordable price. So And a lot of it has to do with strong management.
Awesome. In your other developments, what's your typical length of tenancy? How long do your tenants stay?
In our senior deals, they tend to stay quite a long time unless if they need to be in a more supported environment because of age or, with seniors, the reality is that a lot of them, pass on. So, but in terms of otherwise, they're pretty long tenure.
So you don't have a lot of turnover?
No.
Okay. All right, that's all my questions. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Sue. Cody, did you have something to say? Sorry, your hand up.
Oh, I was just gonna, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna add to Alderwoman Miller that those values that he was referring to in the traffic impact analysis, so all development typically reference the Institute of Transportation Engineers, their trip generation manual. They update that every year, but I haven't had a chance to really analyze their traffic impact analysis, but that's most likely where they got their values. But that, and honestly, it probably sounds like a value that came from ITE though, most likely.
Thanks, Cody.
And also, if I could just add, Alderwoman Miller, that, when you talk about those low trip generations, this is a 55 and older, low income, affordable housing unit. So a lot of these individuals are at that retirement age, collecting Social Security on a fixed income. This is the type of housing that they need, and they don't travel. They don't leave their apartments.
Thank you for the clarification.
Alderman Strack, go ahead.
Hume, could you tell me, do you have some projected rental fees here?
Yes. So, so the tenant will pay, so for 8 1-bedrooms, tenants will pay $392. Residents will pay $392. For 29 1-bedrooms, they'll pay $891. So we have different income restrictions. So that's why we have different rents. And then for 12 2-bedrooms, $1070.
So IDA dictates the scale on the income level and the amount of percentages based on those units at 20% need to fit one income criteria, right? If I remember correctly, that's how the IDA scale works for that, correct?
Yes, and IDA uses HUD, maximum rents and income limits.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions, comments by council? Alderman Santee, go ahead.
With the age at 55, is there a certain amount of these tenants that will be actually still working?
We do anticipate, yeah, some on the lower end of the spectrum, some will be working, we anticipate.
I mean, normally with other developments, what can you give me a percentage? Are we looking at 10 or less or 20% or any idea?
I think it's variable. It depends on the development, but we do see that sometimes they trend a little older, so it's hard to say. I would say that based on anecdotal evidence, it's not a very high percentage that work.
Okay.
But I can't give you an exact number.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just a couple of basic things that were brought up early with, I think it was Alderman Glab. I would just like to see more on a project like that, if in fact, this comes forward, if more brick facade and maybe more aesthetically pleasing, where there may be maybe the higher end certain amount of units have the patio outlook, the look of smaller patios for a certain amount of those units. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alderman Glab, go ahead.
Yeah, for clarity, how many projects in Illinois has your company done?
We are,
15, but you were saying personally you've done that, but what has the
Yes.
company done?
we're currently, we've recently closed on an acquisition rehab in Chicago, and that's our first Illinois development.
Okay, so that's clarity. You haven't done any other, you don't have any completed projects in Illinois yet, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. As far as the entrance way that's shown there, I can't see an entrance on a curve. I just don't like to see entranceways on a curve. It's a very poor place to put an intersection. And as far as seniors, at least in this area, I mean, the type of seniors that you will draw into an apartment like that are seniors that are, well, number one, there's still most of them are going to be working until there's at least 65. And when a lot of them that are over 65 will still work part-time jobs, a lot of them do. I mean, we're finding more and more that seniors go back to work even after retiring. And I work part-time even though I'm on Social Security. So there will be a lot more trips in and out than 4 or 5 people. That I could almost guarantee, unless you're going to be earmarking people at 80 and 85 and 90 years old. And even I've seen people at those ages work part-time. So I think there's a lot of issues there. Like I say, I'm not going to rehash all the other issues I had, but I just wanted to bring that up for clarity. I know Alderwoman Miller had asked you how many projects that your company's done, and you said personally you did that many, but you're just so that we have the clarity that your company has not done any in Illinois completed yet. Thank you.
That's correct.
All right. Alderman Harding, go ahead.
Yeah, I understand this piece of property is probably perfect for the project you guys want to put on, but we're building so much in that area. I would like this property to be developed into something different. I think that's just my personal feeling. A restaurant or whatever else comes in that area. I just feel like we're putting a lot of people in one area there. So I'm just having a hard time putting more apartments right there. That's so. I like to see it get developed into something else. That's just my opinion.
Thank you, Ryan. Any other questions, comments by council? Alderman Glenn?
Yeah, one of the opening comments I made, and I just kind of want to see if any of the other council members feel the same way, and that's the fact that shouldn't we be looking more at what's going to go on with the entire second parcel rather than proposals for a piece of it here and there? Because just like what Alderman Harding had just said as part of what he'd like to see there, maybe it's a mixed use or whatever, but at least there would be some kind of an idea of what we expect on that whole Lot 2 area.
Alderman Devine, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have a question for staff. If you could refresh our memory, the size of Lot 2. This is 2.5 acres, and I just want to know what the total size of that Lot 2 is.
It's roughly 12 acres, I believe. So it'll be about nine acres left, I think, if I recall.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any others? Question, comment? All right. Director Palarecki, which as far as moving forward as support by council, is that what you're looking for? Direction by council to move forward?
Yeah, if we could possibly just do a straw poll. I know that there's some definite no's in the room, or
okay,
not really in the room, but I think that just so that we can let Hume and his team know, moving forward. So
sure. So what I'll ask is if the council members that are for this project to move forward to the next steps, you can just raise your hand. Against, please raise your hand. Alderman Glad, what side are you on? What?
It's your microphone.
I could probably guess at that.
Yeah.
I said I didn't raise my hand, just a bottle that I was pouring some
Oh,
water.
are you for or against this project?
At this point, I am not for it now.
And Mayor, if I may,
Sure.
that's the way I wanted. At this point, I'm not for it. I mean, I'd like to see this possibly come at some point in the future, once that development is ongoing, and, you know, maybe 3/4 done or so, to see what it's like and what the appearance is looking like, what the traffic's going to be looking like going back in there. And, you know, maybe this is potential something that comes back to us in a given period of time. Thank you.
And Hume, I mean, obviously you've been talking to staff quite a bit. So maybe there's another lot, or maybe there's another location that we can work with you on. I don't think all of them are against the actual project. I think they're more just against the location, considering how many apartments are on that street on Blake going in. So yeah, so I appreciate you coming on and looking at McHenry, and hopefully that you'll come back and hopefully find another lot for you, or in the future, maybe this is the lot that's going to pan out for you. But it seems like right now there's just not enough support to move forward with this.
Right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
I had a question.
Sure. Go ahead.
All right, it's Terry Locke.
Oh, go ahead, Terry.
Thank you. On these types of projects, are property taxes paid when they're built because they're supported by federal dollars? And anytime federal dollars are involved, it's always a bunch of strings. So those are the questions I'd be more interested in following up with Hume on, to see if in fact what we would lose to the federal government if this proceeded. That's my question. Thank you.
Hey, Terry Locke, we'll go ahead and get back to you. I'll have a staff member get back to you and answer that question for you. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Terry. All right. Moving on to the next discussion item. 7B is a conceptual presentation, McHenry Senior Commons. Director Palarecki, you want to go ahead and start us off?
Certainly, similar to what you just heard from Lincoln Capital, the petitioner in this instance is Bear Development, requesting preliminary feedback on a conceptual proposed 40-unit affordable age-restricted 62 and older 3-story apartment building on 2.28 acres, located in northeast corner of Knox Drive and Bull Valley Road. Again, the development relies on the petitioner being awarded low-income affordable housing tax credits from the Illinois Housing Development Authority. We'd like to go through the same process here. I'll turn it over to, is it Sarah and Adam, for a small presentation, and then we can turn to council for discussion on this one as well. And guys, you may be able to answer that question about the taxes. I believe that it's taxed like it would, like a normal apartment building would be. I don't think there's any tax, but you guys are probably would be better to answer that.
Sure. And this is Adam Templer from Bear Development, and Sarah Beck is on as well. I think Sarah will share her screen here with the presentation. The properties, like it's kind of a mixed answer. The properties are taxable, but because they are affordable, they're taxed based on NOI with a cap rate, which recognizes that the value is lower because the rents are restricted. So the property taxes are not going to be equivalent to a market rate housing unit, but they are going to be taxable. You know, it might be $1,000 to $1,500 per unit. It just depends on the underlying income on that property, but they are fully taxable.
Thank you, Adam.
I'll go ahead and share my screen.
All right, so you heard a lot of this. Another senior housing development. We're on a different site, obviously, and just as a bit of background of Bear. So I'm Adam, VP of Development for Bear Development. We are located in Kenosha. We primarily do development in Wisconsin, Southeast Wisconsin, Northern Illinois. We're a family company that's been around since the 1920s, and over the course of last almost 100 years have
span from brokerage to single-family development, multifamily development, hospitality, retail, office. Adjacent to the site that we're talking about tonight, we developed the VA clinic, which was a handful of years back, so certainly familiar with the area. Like I said, the bulk of our development work has been in Wisconsin and Illinois, primarily because there's been so much positive economic development in this area. We have done a lot of similar developments to this in the past 5 to 7 years. We've done 15 other deals in Illinois specifically. Some of the other communities that we've worked in recently are Cherry Valley, Elgin, Springfield, Peoria, Waukegan, O'Fallon, Fulton, and Sugar Grove. So, we've done over 3,200 units, again, primarily in Wisconsin and in Illinois. So we're very familiar with the IDA process. IDA support is key for these deals. In exchange for the tax credits that are given to the developments, we restrict the rents on the units. So in these cases, if you don't get the tax credits from IDA, the deal doesn't move forward because that's the primary funding source. We've been very successful with IDA. We have 9 deals that we've closed with them in the past couple of years. We usually get 1 to 2 of these 9% awards each year. This is the one project that we're moving forward in this year's application cycle. Bear again itself, we have projects throughout the country. We also have an in-house general contractor that constructs all of our work. We do GC it ourselves. We use all local subcontractors, so hiring local and creating those local construction jobs. I think, Sarah, the next site, you can see here, the site we're talking about tonight is next to the VA clinic. So this is a site that Bear has owned.
Part of our application would be looking to vacate, and we want to get the
Sorry, Sarah.
to get the feedback from council on whether that would be approved by you. When this cross-access easement was originally put as a restriction, Bank Drive did not connect there. So we feel that there's really no reason to have an access to the funeral home through the site. We think that this...
We'd have to look at that to see how that originated. Was the city a party to that?
So maybe we'll let Ross or Cody speak to this. My understanding is that this was a restriction that the city did require to be put on the plat when it was subdivided.
It was a plat restriction, David, that we ultimately approved. So I think that, again, I don't know what the processes would be to eliminate it. But I think
we could deal with that later.
There's also, while we're on that plat restriction topic, there's also one on Municipal Drive that only allows a right in, right out on that ingress that you see there, that we would also want to address at the same time, because we just don't feel that there's a need for a right in, right out at that point of ingress. So, but those are things that as we move forward, if you like the plan and you allow them to move forward, with positive, the thumbs up, that we'll work through those things.
A couple other things to note here. We do think this is a great site for seniors. It's across the street from the rec center, from the park, quick access to the aquatic center to the north, the pool, and great access to small retail and restaurants and cafes across the street there.
And we'd also, as part of the affordable housing too, we'd be targeting veterans. There'd be a wait list preference for veterans. So certainly the VA clinic there and the other medical facilities that are nearby is a key for seniors in that location.
So this is similar developments that we've done in Geneseo and Sugar Grove. In both of these communities, we have really strong relationships with city staff, and we'd be happy to provide references. We'd also be happy to take any council members that are interested on a tour of one of these buildings. This would be very similar to what we're proposing here in McHenry.
Right, these two buildings you're looking at, these are also 40 units, the same combination of 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms that are split. The one in Sugar Grove that is called Chelsea Senior Commons was built about 3 years ago. And then Geneseo Senior just opened earlier this year in February of this year. Both of them really strong demand. I know that he had mentioned in his presentation just the really high occupancy for senior housing and a large need for senior housing. We too did a market study to kind of show that and show the strong demand for senior housing. I know the city also did their housing study and showed the need for more apartments. Some of the things that we kind of glanced over and we'll see it through here, but some of the amenities in the buildings that have really become necessities, especially during COVID with seniors. In those first couple pictures you saw, this having balconies, so people have a little bit of outdoor space that they can go. I think, with people not getting out of their houses as often with COVID, it's been really great to have. We've been, with certain safety features in place too. If you go to the next slide, Sarah, we try to make spacious units and also a spacious community. So here, this is an example of a community building. You can't see it on this, or community room rather. There's, we have open tables for playing cards and get-togethers at night. We try to have a sunroom and then some outdoor space for residents too. More like the room on the right there, that's this 3 Seasons room that when it's like it is now, 10 degrees outside and can't get outside, I'd like to have some space for the seniors to be able to go. Generally, we do restrict to 62 plus, which is a little bit different than what you heard in the prior presentation. Our average tenant at move-in is usually in their mid to late 60s, and then they age in place and generally stay with us until they need to go to an assisted living facility or memory care facility. So it's really, move in and it becomes a community for them and live with us over the long term.
And just to speak to the amenities a little bit further, the units are quite large. Our 1 bedrooms are around 700 square feet plus, and our 2 bedrooms are 1,000 square feet. The units include in-unit washer and dryer, dishwasher standard, central air, window furnishings. Really, it comes with a full package. And I wanted to make a note too how important that fitness center is, and we do have laundry too for kind of bulk items, so that residents don't have to leave to wash their duvets or anything like that. It's really everything that they would need in their apartment building. Also of note, we have on-site property management and leasing office. Bear is going to be the long-term owner, but we will have a third-party property manager, and the third-party property manager we'd be working with here is one we have a long relationship with, managing other Illinois properties.
These properties in particular for our multifamily and with the affordable, these are really a long-term investment for us. So there is an initial 15-year compliance period with the state. We're restricting the affordability, and then another 15-year extended use period. So this isn't something that we're building, stabilizing, and then selling. This is something that we're building, stabilizing, and then we're the long-term owners for at least 15 years. But generally for affordable, we hold for the full affordability period. So long-term owners and investment in the community.
So what we would be seeking is, the site is currently zoned C3 community commercial. We would be looking to request a rezone to RM2 high density multifamily. We'll meet all the height, density, and setback requirements. We would be requesting a variance to allow for 1.5 parking spaces per unit. So it would be 60 spaces. We find that our parking ratios at our senior developments are typically less than one car per household. So we think that would be more than enough parking for this site. From a timeline perspective, our applications to IDA are due February 14th, which is a great Valentine's Day treat for all of us. And we plan to submit our rezone package this week, anticipating a meeting in front of Planning and Zoning on March 16th. On May 20th, IDA will announce their tax credit awards, and we will kind of enter that due diligence phase, and we would anticipate a financial close and construction start in November, and about a 14-ish month construction period. So that is the end of our presentation. We are happy to take questions. I will exit out here.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, I'll go ahead and open it up for comment, questions by council. Alderman Santee, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the presentation, Adam and Sarah. With the IDA support, the financing, what is the percentage, or is there a certain percentage of low income, the units, what percentage of the units are low income?
Do you want me to take this one? All of the units are income restricted, but they're income
Okay.
restricted at different levels. So of the 40 units, 28 would be restricted at 60% AMI, which really produces something similar to a market rate rent.
Yeah, in these
Okay.
cases, like a 1-bedroom 60% unit, the gross rent is about $1,000. A 2-bedroom 60 is about $1,250. So certainly there's a little bit of a discount there to what a free market rent is. And then for the other units, those are deeper skewed. So a 1-bedroom is about $520 and a 2-bedroom about $620.
Okay, thank you. A quick, actually, I think it's probably a Cody Ross question. The land just to the west side of Knox Drive on the corner of Bull Valley and Knox, that long rectangular piece of land is not part of the city. Is that correct?
Is that the Ross? Is that the or the tree guy?
The tree guy, yes.
Yeah, no, he annexed actually was my very first public hearing process for the city. So yeah, he's already annexed.
So he's annexed in.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And just my only comment from the presentation. I like the way this looks and feels and kind of fits in. You know, some of the diagrams and the look. I am in and out of the Sugar Grove area from time to time, so I've seen that facility just from the outside looking in. Excuse me, and presents a very positive image and look of this type of development, and that's what I see also in this presentation. I guess I don't know how much activity in regards to outside the building there may be, but there is I don't know, there is the possibility that there may be some, I don't know, walking activity because of the 2 or 3 restaurant establishments just to the west in that area. I don't know if that could be any kind of pedestrian traffic concern, or if something could be looked at some point in the future. If this is something that goes forward, I would just have a concern there in regards. I'd like to see the pedestrian traffic, but just to make sure it's there's crossways and sidewalks that could be available. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Vic. Any other questions, comments by council? I'm glad. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to state glad to see the balconies, but as far as the elevation look, I'd like to see a little more depth. This is kind of right down the street from City Hall. When we get visitors in the city, visiting City Hall, they're going to go right past this area. You take a look at a lot of the development down there, a lot more masonry, and I just like to see a little higher end look on the outside of that building than what that is. Yes, it looks great when it's new. As it gets older, brick always looks more vintage. Let's put it that way. Good spot for it. No problems with that. But other than that, that's all I've got.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments by council? Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of concur with Andy. I think it's a great location. You got the Veterans Facility, you've got the rec center right there. And that was the first thing that tripped my trigger was the outside. We got a lot of people either going by on Bull Valley Road or, like Andy said, coming into City Hall. So I'd like to see that beefed up a little, but I'm for this. It looks good.
Alderman Strack, go ahead.
I think the presentation was fantastic. Every question that I started to earmark in my head was covered. Long-term hold, what those rents look like. I think the fact that it has balcony and patio for those residents is great. Everything adjacent to it, it's a good fit here for sure. And looks like definite winner for that location, in my opinion.
Thanks, Sean. Alderman Miller, go ahead.
So I'm also in support of the project. I'm a longtime realtor in both the state of Illinois and Wisconsin. So I'm a longtime familiar person with Bear Development and Bear Real Estate. And I will tell you that I'm familiar with many of the projects that they noted in their presentation. I've driven by them, I've gone by them, I've seen them. Not only do they build a good quality project, they support it and they maintain it because it is their family name on the door. So when you're sitting in the seat of our decision-making process and a developer brings a project to you, not only am I concerned about the day it's built, I'm concerned about 15 years later what it's going to look like. And having the familiarity with the name, the development company, and the maintenance schedule, I'm very comfortable with supporting your project. So Sarah, thank you very much. And Adam, thank you very much for considering McHenry and continuing your commitment to our community.
Thank you.
Alderman Devine.
Yeah, I can support this project as well. I'm happy with this.
Thank you. Alderman Harding.
That has my support also too, but how does it work with the veterans? And you said you had a waiting list.
It's a targeted wait list. So
It's a
if
targeted
they get
wait
a
list?
preference, it's a wait list preference. So if we have two wait lists, call it, and you have a wait list for veterans, and if a unit comes available and there's a veteran that qualifies, that veteran would get the unit prior to someone on the general wait list.
Okay. And this is an elevator building and and ADA applying to, I'm assuming also, correct?
That's
Unless
correct. Yeah, it meets all accessibility and adaptable for units.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Santee, go ahead.
Real quick, when was Sugar Grove completed?
Give me 1 second.
That's gonna be there quicker than me.
September of 2019.
Okay.
So
All right.
we
So
finished up, and I
pretty-
don't know how recently you've driven by there, but there's a large IDOT project that's going on in that area now. If you travel that way frequently,
It's been about probably about 6 months since I've been down towards Sugar Grove, but yeah, it did look brand new. I just wanted to I wanted to know exactly when it was completed. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments by council? Once again, we'll do a straw poll. I think there's a majority in favor, but anyone against this project to move forward? Anyone for it, please raise your hand. Okay. Yeah, so unanimous support to move forward, which is great to see. So I also agree that this is a good location for the development. And I look forward to working with you, Sarah and Adam, and staff and moving this forward.
We look forward to working with you too. Thank you.
great. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity.
Good luck, you guys.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Next item on the agenda, conceptual presentation, North Draper Road, single family subdivision. Director Palarecki, go ahead.
Sure, why not? So this one's a little bit refreshing. We've seen a lot of multifamily presentations as of late. So to see a single family home development, a potential for one, I think is good for the city of McHenry. We have a little bit more diverse housing. So the petitioner Lennar is requesting preliminary feedback on a conceptually proposed 258 unit single family residential subdivision located on 170.8 acres of land located directly north of the intersection of North Draper and Farmstead Drive. The conceptual development consists of quarter-acre size lots. However, this may change with site engineering and progressive. It's a very difficult site. There's a lot of topography, a lot of wetland, as you can see on the site plan that was submitted with the packet. So with that being said, I will turn this over to Rick Murphy from Lennar, who's also here with Tom Burney, to go ahead and give their presentation to the city council. We can have a discussion afterwards. Rick?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hear you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ross. Mayor Chet, Alderman, administration. Thanks for hearing this matter tonight. My name is Rick Murphy. I am here with Tom Burney and Rich Olson, our planner, and here to talk about the property on Draper Road. You may remember us from Legend Lakes. We finished out the single family over there. And the townhome, I don't remember, I think it's unit 2, the townhome unit directly to the east of Legend Lakes. So we've definitely enjoyed working in town and want to continue here. And for those that aren't familiar with Lennar, I'd like to share a little bit of a slideshow with you and talk about our company and our features, and let Rich Olson carry the ball from there. I'm talking about the site plan. So let me try to share my screen if I can, and let's see if we got it. How are we looking here?
We can see it. We're good.
Okay, sounds good. So again, I'm Rick from Lennar. Let me see if I can switch. Oh, okay, I have to switch here. All right. I would much rather be there in person, so I'm sorry to miss you, everybody. Okay, well, Lennar has been building homes since 1954. It's a publicly traded company, and apparently we've built over 1 million homes so far. So that's a ton. Our company here was originally, I think, Ryland. We got acquired by Lennar in 2017. So a lot of the people you're working with here are actually Ryland people. But I guess that's so far back, it doesn't matter anymore. Second largest by revenue in closings in 2020. Operating in 41 markets nationally. But we're the largest in Chicago. Almost 1,200 homes last year, and working in about 39, 40. It's increasing all the time. How many communities we're working in. So we have in-house mortgage, title, and I think most of our buyers end up using us for their mortgages. So it kind of streamlines the process. This is a little sample of the communities we're working on nearby. Legend Lakes, of course, we've got a couple of in there. Single family and a townhome, like I said, Volo, Woodlore and Crystal Lake, Mundelein, Crossings of Mundelein is a townhome community. Woodlore is actually townhome and single family. It's 3 product lines in there. Warren Huntley is, I don't even know how many units. It's hundreds and hundreds of homes. And I think we've been working on 3 different product lines in there lately, and ready to roll out a couple more, another phase there probably next year. Wonder Lake. We just opened this year. Ponds of Stony Creek down in Elgin, South Point, or in South Elgin, a Park Point in South Elgin, and really more to come that aren't even on this list. So a little bit about what's a little special about what we do. Everything's included. It really means that for a lot of times for what's typical, the typical buyer wants, we ended up making that kind of thing standard. So where it might be quartz countertops, it might be vinyl plank flooring. It just depends on the lineup, and what that gives us is purchasing power. So we're able to offer those upgrades at a very competitive price, much better than an owner could get on his own, or actually a lot of other builders too. So certified, Wi-Fi certified smart homes, there's all kinds of interconnection. And if you forgot whether you left your garage door open, you can look at your phone and see if it's open, close it. You might get, if your water's running too much, and you might get a warning on your phone that there's too much water being used, and it's going to shut it off. And all kinds of things, the doors, the thermostat, You know, you could sign up for the alarm system, Ring doorbell. It's a very cool, very cool. So this is kind of a sample shots of interiors. Obviously at this location, at 300, and I think Rich will tell you, 379 home sites, somewhere in that area. We'll probably have 2 or 3 product lines in here. And again, Legend Lakes, that's us there. And I think at this point, I don't mean to rush. We're here for questions when you're done. But I think if Rich, you're ready, I think we're ready for you here next.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Good evening. My name is Rich Olson. I'm with Gary R. Weber Associates. We're a landscape architecture land planning firm out of Wheaton, Illinois, and we prepared the concept plan for you tonight. When I first looked at this, well, actually, when we were brought on board by Rick, he says, you got to go out and take a look at this site. And I'm like, yeah, I've seen lots of cornfields. But man, when you actually see the site, it's a really sort of a unique piece of property. So I know most of you probably are aware of the site, but if you haven't, definitely go out and take a look. It's primarily located all north of North Draper Road. It's surrounded by residential on all sides. So we've got a little bit of a donut hole here that hopefully we'll get the opportunity to fill in. And it's, as mentioned before, it's about 170 acres and it's currently being farmed. There's also a mix of other things on the property. And I thought it really would be nice just to give a little overview of the existing conditions and some of the planning factors that really help guide us on this site for your information, because it is a very unique piece of property from topography, and that's one of the main things that we look at. The red X's that you see up there are the high points of the site, and the yellow X's are the lower points of the site. At the higher elevation, we're talking a 920 elevation, and the lower parts, we're looking at 800. So we're looking at over 100 feet of drop off of the top portions of the site to the bottom portions. The top portions or the higher portions are on the north and west portions of the site. And when you're standing out there, you can see, if you're looking southeast, you can see for miles. It's amazing for a site that's in Illinois, in cornfield land. But there also is, not only is there some farm fields out there, there also is a well-preserved, I would say somewhat uniquely preserved oak tree stand that's in the central western part of the site, which is, there's some really high slopes there, but they're really nicely just tucked in there, and underneath them is just, it's perfect for pathways and being able to preserve. There's also some wetlands on the site, sort of in the central and lower portions of the site. You can kind of see where all the topographies point to, all those arrows, all that topography is going straight downhill to those wetland areas. And there's a couple spots off of Draper Road that the natural drainage system exits on the site itself. Go to the next slide. So, I guess one other thing that I didn't mention, there's a utility easement that really goes into the dominant feature, kind of in the northern portion of the site that goes straight through the site, that dictates a lot of what we're doing as well. But what you see here is the plan over the top of some of those conditions. The green areas that you see are the open space areas, and the yellow areas with the roads are where the home sites will be located. And of course, we stay out of that utility easement that's located in there. We also stay predominantly out of the wooded areas, which are, there's lots of oak trees in there, and it's just really nice to be able to preserve those locations. We also stay predominantly out of the wetland areas. The blue areas that you see are going to be proposed detention areas. There's also an existing detention pond in the center of the site, and you can kind of see that sort of in the right where it says existing pond right in the center. And if you go out there, it looks like it's a good old-fashioned fishing hole. So hopefully that can be preserved for that kind of thing in the future. That also serves as sort of a central location that we're proposing just south of there, a proposed park space. and pathways that will lead throughout this particular site. One of the amazing things that we're doing here is we've got 75 acres of the 170 acres that we're going to be preserving, which is about 44% of the site. And generally speaking, if I'm going to call an open space site, I'm preserving something along the lines of 20 to 25%. So we're doing up and above what you would generally see in a traditional open space site, which allows us, if you look at the home sites on this, which allows us to have a lot of homes that back up to these preserved areas. So the extension of their backyards will, I mean, it's just going to be great because they're just the trees and they're going to be preserved as well as nice backdrops for that. The other thing that's nice is along Draper Road, we have the detention areas, since they have to be on the lower portions of the site. They tend to place themselves along Draper. So you have very few homes that are actually going to back up to the major roadway system. So you're going to have nice green corridors from the public views going into this site. We're looking at doing our main site just across the street from Legend Lakes on Farmstead Drive. That particular location is well suited from both directions from a visibility standpoint. No issues with curves or anything from a safety standpoint. Good location for main entrance. We have several secondary entrances. One up just northeast along Draper, along Shannon Drive, which will come in to the as you come in off of that. There's a really nice small, and if you get out of the site, you'll know when you see it. Off to the left, there's a really nice small stand of oak trees right in that spot. And you know, we certainly could put houses there, but I think we're choosing to do the right thing and preserve some of those really nice oak trees in that spot. The roadway pattern system really works well within the community. It connects both to the north as well as, and these are just potential, to the north as well as to the west. There's a third one that is also off of Timber Trail, but we decided because it's a little awkward just to not connect in that location because of some grading issues and just the awkwardness of that. But nonetheless, very well, very good from a vehicular access standpoint. And so we are proposing a combination or a total of 277 units over the 170 acres. And we're very proud of this particular. It's been an interesting way to an interesting challenge to get through to make sure that this is well done and preserves lots of open space. But I think once the challenge is done, and if we're fortunate enough to be able to come out and develop this site, this will certainly be a very signature piece of property and certainly a good spot for the residents to enjoy and preserve the open space for a very, very long time in the future. So with that, I'll just turn it back over to Rick, and certainly would love to answer any of your questions that you might have.
Thanks, Rich. You know, a couple things to remind everybody on the city council. This property was previously zoned, I think, back in the day, RS1, very large home sites. That really economically is just unfeasible, impractical for a number of reasons. There's not enough revenue to carry the kind of expenses that need to happen in this kind of development. It would have, I think, required individual wells, which is, you know, just another problem. I mean, the top of our property is virtually in line with the elevation of the top of your existing water tanks. So we work with this city's consulting engineer to just check about the serviceability and features that we need to do that. So what we'd be, you know, asking for ultimately is to work with your team on lot configurations and you know, to balance this out. We definitely have to balance out the need to have home sites, you know, enough home sites in here with the slopes. I mean, if we get if we were to get too narrow, we'd start having engineering challenges in here. So we're constrained by that, you know. So I think when you look at the open spaces in here, it's just it's going to be amazing. This is great.
So I would just say, when you think about cluster development, you know, and it's been a concept that's been thrown around for a long time. I don't think there's a better site to apply that principle than this one. Preserving 44% in tree stands, oak forests, wetlands, and you know, we've got a great planner, a great developer. I hope the city will embrace this and support us moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. So with that, I think we're available for any questions you'd like to ask us.
Thank you, Rick. Can you go ahead and unshare your screen if you don't mind?
Oh, absolutely. Sorry. Now, it's the hard part, isn't it? You're minimized. That's my problem.
I knew we were going to have a hard time being the
It's
last
going to be
presentation.
something. No, wrong one.
Hey, Monty, can you go ahead and give him a hand?
Ross, help me, unshare me.
I think Monty can stop it. If you go straight down to the bottom of your screen, there you go.
There we go.
It's back. All right, perfect.
We
Thanks,
know they can
everybody.
build home, so that's good. All right, well, thank you all for getting on here. And I just got to say, I love the site plan. I got to say, working with you guys all in the past couple of years has been amazing in Legend Lakes. Since I lived there, I obviously witnessed a lot of it, and appreciate the professionalism, keeping the streets clean, and I respect that a lot from you guys. So thank you. But yeah, so I'll open up for council input, questions, comments from council, whether it's to staff or to the developer. Alderman Glad.
Yeah, one of the things I want to bring up is we've had Deerwood and Burning Tree. Those subdivisions have been there for the last 30 plus years. When this property was annexed back about 23, 24 years ago, there was a lot of discussion as far as building sites not to impact those neighborhoods with quarter-acre lots. The idea was just to feather it out there. Granted, nobody, I guess, has jumped on this property. Still a little reservations about quarter-acre lots there, but more so than anything else is do we need any connections to Deerwood or Burning Tree? Because basically it isn't so much that they get out of their subdivision as much as this subdivision could double the traffic or better of a very quiet elite area. And that concerns me.
If I could just.
Yeah, go ahead, Ross.
So, you know, we had many discussions about this in the early stages of meeting with Lennar. Their original plans actually did not have any access to Burning Tree or Deerwood. We as staff suggested so. And one of the reasons why we did that is, one, emergency access to the subdivision. Two, our subdivision control ordinance actually recommends you connecting subdivisions like that together. But the third thing we looked at was the flow of traffic. Are the individuals from this new proposed subdivision going to be traveling west through Deerwood and Burning Tree? More than likely not. Most of what they would be doing would be going east towards the shopping, entertainment, and so on. Actually, what I think would happen is the residents of Deerwood and Burning Tree would actually benefit from the connections, because they would not have to go all the way out to 120 to come back around down 120. They could cut through this subdivision to get to Draper and then ultimately into town. It would save them a few minutes. So I don't really see much. Maybe you've got a couple of individuals that work in Woodstock that might go through Deerwood or Burning Tree, but generally speaking, your traffic's going to flow to the east. So that's where that decision was made to make those connections. One, from a standpoint of safety, we want to be able to get fire trucks, fire truck, police officers, they've got a way to get into Burning Tree in Deerwood now, where before they're having to head all the way out and around.
Okay, so they could take it, they could always put an emergency exit over there. They don't have to have them connected completely. They could have an entrance there just for emergency only. The thing is you are totally flip-flopping subdivisions that have been out there, higher scaled subdivisions, and putting in not just what's Deerwood in they're what 1 acre lots, or in some cases larger. And now you're going to put 1/4 acre lots right next to them, and then you're going to funnel. I'm sorry, I disagree totally with what you're talking about as far as the traffic patterns. And I've had engineers as far as more than 25 years ago tell me how, when the Dartmoor Bridge goes in over Boone Creek, you're going to see less traffic in Whispering Oaks because of the way the traffic's going to funnel. BS. Okay.
So if I could just
wait a minute. What I'm saying is you can't tell me, you're not a traffic engineer, and you can't tell me that this is the way that people are going to travel. They're not going to travel through a subdivision like this from Deerwood unless they're going to go flying through there to get out to Draper Road, rather than take Ridge Road and straight up to 120.
All right, so can I just remind everybody that this is a conceptual, and just like the Authentics project, as the processes with planning and zoning and city council move forward, these type of items will be addressed. So if we decide at the planning and zoning hearing, or the engineers decide through traffic studies that these connections are not favorable, then we'll change it at that point. And Alderman Glab, I respect your opinion on that, but I don't want to get stuck on just one topic here. I'd like to give the developer, an opinion of, hey, do we like this or do we not like this?
I don't like the idea of it going to 1/4 acre lots, to be honest with you. It's a really, really shrinking up the lots compared to what we expected over there. And yet, that time we did know about the wetlands and all that when we were looking at this property. And again, all the details, I mean, that was 20 some odd years ago when we annexed this property, so I don't remember all the details, but I do remember the fact that we even, so that we didn't impact residents, well, the area, I think where the mayor lives, what are there, 14,000 square foot lots in that area? That was part of, I think, part of the annexation agreement at that time, with the idea of the feathering effect. So, again, that's from what I can recall, and from what I see here, we're looking at nothing but an extension of everything that we've got further in. And as we go out further, I would have expected to see larger lots. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
Alderman Harding, can you fill us in a little bit, maybe on the emergency response? Hopefully that's something you're going to talk about.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to talk about that. I'll say one thing. That piece of property is primo. It's a beautiful piece of property, and I drive by it multiple times a day, and I love it. And I agree with Alderman Glab that I would like at least 1/2 acre lots or larger lots in there. I know you guys want to get 277 units in. I totally understand that. But, we have, like along Waterford or Waterford Court or Liam Lane, those are nice pieces of property that I think should be in that area, in that landscape, because it's such a beautiful area. I would hate to see it cluttered with 1/4 acre lots. But I am supportive of that property and going forward. And, in regards to the emergency traffic, it's going to benefit Deerwood and Burning Tree if we connect those streets. without a doubt, because I don't know how many times I pulled out of that station and go all the way around to get to someone not breathing, house on fire, which happened a couple years ago. You name it, I've been back in there for numerous reasons, and you wouldn't think anything happens back there, but it does. So it would benefit Deerwood and Burning Tree to have that access. I know they're used to that quietness, but when your family member's not breathing or someone's choking, time is the essence, and it would benefit, that neighborhood. That's the way I look at it, without a doubt. But that's what you get when you live in a private neighborhood, is that there's the yin and the yang of living in somewhere that private. So bottom line is I'm for it, but I'd like to see bigger lots, without a doubt.
Excuse me, Alderman. Rich Olson, what is the density of this development? Isn't it greater than a half-acre lot per averaging the number of lots over the entirety of the site? Do you have that?
Yeah. The gross density is 1 point. I'll tell you in an exact second, but I think it's 1.7 dwelling units per acre. So if you take in the cluster development open space, it is. Now we also are showing the sensitivity up against the the reality of, how do I say this? The reality of half-acre lots. The finances just don't work for that in this area. It hasn't for the last 20 years, and it probably won't moving forward. But certainly looking at building a quality community with a quality developer, and looking at how we can feather some densities, I'm sure there's some ways that we can look at that.
Good idea.
But that's kind of where we're looking to do, is help to preserve open space and create the right size units that help this community move forward with a developer that's ready to come in and build the units, versus it just staying as open space forever.
And you've kind of looked at the market too, right? I mean, is there a need and demand in this market for greater than quarter-acre lots? Is that what the customers are striving for, or is a quarter-acre lot really the sweet spot?
Yeah, so the size of the lot is based off of the product, and the product that Lennar is offering is something that is highly in demand. And of course, the architecture, we would have to come back and show you what they're doing in terms of the architecture. And if you like that, obviously that plays a super big role in this. But the architecture, they don't build giant homes. And for the most part, that's a dying trend. So you would essentially have a hard time finding that market here in this particular spot.
I think the other thing to remember is, obviously, if you saw our locations on the map, we do know this market. If you do the math on just project out at our most recent selling prices in the high 300s, this is over $100 million project community. So just the sales is going to should exceed that amount. Really, if changing markets, interest rate, everything is going to be driven by payments. So, to embark on a community knowing it's not going to work financially, that just doesn't happen.
You've been an engineer all your life.
But one of the things that we're, just to point out on the site plan, we are looking at putting deeper lots along the communities to the north and to the west. We've got 150-foot deep lots, which is similar. Like if you just look at the plan compared to the lots and the roads along Burning Tree, and you'll see the proximity of the road to the property line, and then you look at ours. Yeah, it's certainly not nearly as big as those lots, but it has some depth qualities that are similar.
Because what you ultimately have here is just a beautiful neighborhood when you're done. And it'd be really hard to criticize that, because yeah, we can massage things here and there a few feet, and based on the existing conditions. So this is not intended to be exactly what's happening, but we do need we do need to have some of the home site relief that we're asking for. We would obviously follow the process either in, probably, possibly a PUD process with you.
So Murph, Alderman Strzok has his hand up.
Yes. Sorry.
So, thank you. I can understand the concern on the half-acre lots, but my dilemma with anything larger than a quarter-acre lot in a development, like this, or just in general, the trend would push you into a $500,000 house with a $14,000 tax bill to be able to develop in that realm, and that's not what's affordable to people today. And the lack of homes that we have right now is in the marketplace that this developer is pitching. I love the fact that I fished this farm as a child. I know it well. I know the property very well. I think it will be a phenomenal development. Would I love to see $500,000 homes on half-acre lots tucked in here? Absolutely. But they will sit empty because that's not where the market is right now. And I think I would guess that Alderwoman Miller would concur with my statements, and that what is the market demand is what we really are in striving for. And I can tell you that with a less than one month's worth of inventory on the market in single family homes in this particular environment, this is the demand. This is what we need to see. So hearing everybody's concerns, I totally get it, but I do think that this development will be beautiful. The landscape here is phenomenal. The elevation change makes build tough, and creating this much open space is fantastic in a neighborhood like this. So kudos to the design. I do like it a lot, and I do think that this is the right fit.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Alderman Miller.
So I'll continue that dialogue with saying the topography here, because I know this property as well, have wandered over it since I was a kid, hanging out with the Schillers and doing the farm thing. I think building it up the hill and leaving 40% of it like you see it today is amazing. A lot of those homes up in the 900 elevation won't be seen by that oak grove. They'll be tucked away. And Rick, thank you for your thought process here, because I know you had a lot to do with this, and thank you very much. I support it. I think economically, it's what the community needs. If you look at the history that Lennar has done with the infill at Legend Lakes and the other communities they've brought forth to us, they know their product line. They build a home that the community embraces and sells quickly. This will be a development that we can be proud of and we should support. I hear the desire to feather in the half acres, but frankly, those other communities are established. They are fine. They have enough of them. We need more of this housing, which has been demonstrated in the last 2 years when you guys filled in all those extra lots. You took them over, you had them sold out in a year, they were gone, and thank you. So let's build more of them. There is a pent up demand for new construction, and let's make it happen.
Thank you. Alderman Glad, let's give some others, and then I'll come back to you.
Okay.
Alderman Devine.
I'm totally in favor of moving forward with this project.
Thank you. Alderman McClatchy.
Yeah, I'm in favor of it. I think it's beautiful, and keeping those oak trees, I think you couldn't do a better job than what your plan is. The only concern I might have is it's a wetland, and in Legend Lakes, is there any problem with flooding or basements, wet damage or anything like that? You should know, Mayor.
Yeah, no.
My sump pump hasn't run yet.
Okay, perfect. No, I'm for it. I think it's a good design.
Thank you. Alderman Santee.
I'm looking at this as a positive for the city. I guess what Alderman Glab and Alderman Harding mentioned about feathering. I'm not a realtor, so I don't really totally understand the concept, but it looks like when I see this on a satellite picture that I was trying to look at through my phone, I do notice the larger lots up there on Burning Tree. But when I go down towards Deer Path and that other street on the west end, those are more of, are those somewhere in the area of a quarter to a half? Because some of those look smaller than, and this is just satellite pictures in regards to the size of those lots that actually would butt up to this area on the west end. Does anybody know how those lots are? Those lots are exactly what size they are? No, I think I said Deerwood Trail, I believe.
A lot of
Go ahead.
Deerwood is half acres, Vic.
Okay. All right, and that's also on Ridgeway
Timber
Trail, those
Trail.
are also?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, and Deerwood Trail on the south end. Those are also half, those are halves.
They're half to
Everything else?
3/4, depending on how big how they were cut up.
Okay. All right. No, I appreciate the information.
Alderman Glad.
Yeah, I just want to bring up the fact that all I keep hearing about is how this is great as far as business, and we're building this community for the people, and not for the people coming in, for the people that are here, we need to protect. And to me, I just don't hear enough about how we're going to protect the people that are there already, and that concerns me. Like I said, there's going to be a lot more traffic that goes through those subdivisions than what is there now. You can't tell me different because I've lived it, I've seen it. Anytime you pop open a roadway, you wind up creating a lot more traffic into these quiet subdivisions, and people move into these subdivisions because they want it quiet, and because it was a quiet neighborhood, and you've got probably less turnover there than most areas. I don't know, but I would think that most people that live there are quite satisfied with their neighborhood as far as how quiet it is and everything else. And there's going to be a lot of them that are going to be quite upset when these roads get popped open. So, like I say, if you're on the western part of this subdivision, you're going to go through Deerwood. You're not going to wind up trying to get all the way down to and around, and
Well, Alderman Tom Bernie here. Tom Bernie here again.
No.
I think
I'm
that the
sorry,
public.
I'm talking. Could I finish, please?
Oh,
Please?
I was complimenting
Okay,
what you're
thank
going to
you.
say.
Okay. All I'm saying is I'd like to see maybe on some of these lots, I think you're the one that brought it up, and that's the fact that deeper lots would at least start some of a feathering effect. If we're going to go with quarter-acre lots, I would like to at least see maybe not quarter-acre, maybe they'll be a little larger along the perimeter that back up to the subdivisions to where they are a little further away, and at least it could be maybe a little bit more amenable to those subdivisions. Thank you.
You finished, sir? I'm sorry I interrupted you. I misunderstood. I first of all, that's the beauty of the public hearing process. And I think we're going to hear from the neighbors in those subdivisions as to whether they want access or not. And it's going to be up to the city council based on staff's recommendations, whether we open them up or not, or follow your suggestion, just have them as an emergency access. I don't think anybody wants your community to turn into Lincolnshire, where there's no connection between any subdivision at all. But we appreciate what you're saying, and that's the beauty of these kind of meetings, to give us some input, some insight into where people are coming. So thank you, Alderman. And Rick, did you have any other questions of some of Alderman Glad's concerns?
No, I mean, I think we can work the site plan along with staff and administration to a degree, to try to alleviate any concerns. But
okay, then we'll work through this process, and I think overall, I think there's support for this. We'll go ahead and do a straw poll like we did with the other projects. If you are against this project moving forward, please raise your hand. If you're for this project moving forward and going through the process, please raise your hand.
I'd be against it at the way it's written right now. If it's changed a bit.
It's a conceptual plan.
I'm sorry?
It's a conceptual plan. This isn't even.
Okay.
We'll come back to you.
I say we got enough feedback that we can move forward with Rick and his team and try and figure some things out, and I'll keep the council informed on what's going on with that. And, we'll get to that planning and zoning hearing and go through the processes, but I appreciate everybody's input on it, and we'll move forward with Rick and your team.
Thanks, Russ.
Thanks for
We should have a lot of development in McHenry. I can't believe it.
It's a great town.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Tom, Rick,
Congratulations.
and Rich. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good evening. Thank you.
All right, moving on to the next agenda discussion item 7D is a discussion regarding zoning text amendments and to adopt a planned unit development ordinance and zoning variation related to the property owner notification. Director Pawlicki, one last one.
No, actually, I'm going to punt this one, Mayor. Cody,
all right.
Cody's coming
Cody,
on.
it's all yours.
He's
Sure.
worked on this PUD,
Yes.
so I'm going to turn it over to him.
All right. Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Mayor. So staff is in the process of replacing our integrated design district ordinance with a traditional planned unit development ordinance. Both types of zoning tools provide a comprehensive development plan for parcels, which usually vary from or substantially from our traditional zoning and subdivision and control ordinances. The primary difference is that an IDD development rezones a property and ties it to the approved plans. This can be potentially problematic when a developer receives approval of an IDD development, but fails to close on the property. Property owners would then need to rezone the property back to its original zoning district classification. To date, the city has approved 2 IDD developments that include Authentics and the Oaks at Irish Prairie. Retiring the IDD will require a zoning map amendment for the affected properties and notice to all adjoining property owners. The city's ordinance requires notification via certified mail with return receipt. Staff is requesting to substitute the certified mailing with a first-class mailing, which would save the city approximately $1,000, but will require a zoning variation. Staff is proposing to rezone properties based on lot sizes and the existing use of the property. We will also need to amend the future land use map to reflect this change. Ultimately, property owners would experience no change in the use of the property. But at this point, staff is requesting preliminary approval from City Council to proceed with the zoning text amendments to adopt the PUD ordinance and to request a zoning variation to allow staff to notice property owners through first-class mail in lieu of certified mail to reduce costs.
Thank you, Cody. All right. So is any questions, comments for Cody or Ross?
Let's move forward.
Alderman Glad?
Yeah, just a comment, and that's the fact that just going through regular first-class mail versus sending it registered. You want it registered. You don't want a resident to come back and say they never got it. And I don't care if you want to save the postage and have it hand delivered. But, I think it should be registered letters the way it is now, and not just first-class mail.
That's never really served any purpose in the past.
I will also add, I know that, not all cities require certified mailing. A few of them do first-class mailing as well. I know when I was in Glen Ellen, we did first-class mailing, and it was a 250-foot mailer. The city of Woodstock also just last year alone switched from certified mailing to a first-class mailing for all developments as well.
You mean the city that you sit on the commission at? So you probably had something to do with changing that as well. But all I'm saying is put your post cap on then and hand deliver them so that we make sure that the residents get them.
Alderman Glad, we do for registered mail now, and a good high percentage of them come back to us where people don't sign for them because they're afraid there's something in there that they're going to be.
But it shows that you attempted to.
Well, correct. Correct, it
No,
does.
you could
Not our
accomplish
fault,
the
it's
same
their fault.
purpose.
It's not the post office's fault. It's their fault that they refused
Waste
it.
of money.
So,
Attorney McCardle, is there any, besides our ordinance, is there any legal ramifications from?
I'm catching this for the first time, so I would take a quick look at that, but if Woodstock's done it, I'm sure they've looked at it. I would look at that before we go forward, but I would advocate for what he's proposing because I've never seen any usefulness in a certified mailing, ever, in 40 years. It's a total waste of money. It's almost as useless as publishing legal notices in the newspaper. That's worse.
I would agree.
I agree with that, yeah. Nobody's ever seen them.
No, it's horrible. But Randy, what we do in law, when we mail things in the courthouse for, mailings to parties and stuff, other lawyers and things, you don't do certified mail, but what you do is have the secretary that puts it in the mail, addressed to that person, sign a certification herself or himself, certifying that they sent this on a certain day by US mail, they dropped them in the mailbox, and that way it got into the service. And that's called a proof of service. And that's only a one-time signature by the person responsible for sending it. Now, granted, it could fail in a mail and all that, which is a small possibility, but at least it got mailed to that person.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Alderman Miller, you had something.
Yeah, I would just speak to the fact, to Ross's comment, that it's more likely that we're going to get a regular letter opened than we are going to get a certified signature required. And I'm just a regular person. If somebody shows up at my door and wants a letter signed for, I'm not signing for it. Because the only time I'm getting a signature required is when I'm getting a subpoena, and I'm not doing it. So I don't sign for anything that shows up here, signature required. So if one of my neighbors is having something done, I'm clueless. So if it shows up regular mail, I'm going to open it and I'm going to be informed. So I think just a normal behavior, an uneducated behavior, is to not sign for something, and nobody's home when your mail person's here. So if there's nobody home, there's nobody to sign, they just take those letters back. So I think regular first class mail is the way to go. And updating our ordinance is awesome because our ordinance is so out of date, it's ridiculous. So this whole cleanup of our ordinances and giving a fresh ability to function is exactly the direction we should be going.
Careful, there might be somebody right behind you with an envelope delivering it.
I don't sign for anything, Andy.
Who said sign?
So might I add to that too, with the registered mail this past year or 2 years now, we're in this pandemic, the post office is not making contact with individuals. They're just writing COVID on the return receipts and dropping them in the mailbox. So at that point, it's like receiving a first class letter.
I'm in total favor of this, so.
First class.
All right, can I get a straw poll of who's in favor of this? Okay, let's go ahead and move forward. Thank you, Cody, for putting that together, and let's get it done.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, next item on the agenda, staff reports. Is there any other staff reports this evening? Obviously, just I think in the staff reports, I didn't read it, to be honest with you, but it's something
There was
about,
none for this week.
Okay, Shamrock's the Fox. That's been posted on social media and so forth. Bill, has that been sent out to council, or do you want to send it out?
I'll get the details sent out, but we already approved it through council back in December.
Sure.
So the details, we did get the liquor license just last week approved from the state. So the parameters that you approved at the city council in December is what we'll move forward with. But I will send that out, and I'll also have a parade application that goes out tomorrow.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. Any other staff reports? I don't think so.
The only other thing I had is just for council's information, the chief and I talked some today, and We have been. Chief watches it all the time, and I do too. The positivity rate, the trends for transmission, and all that. And we hope to go live here again in council meetings. Probably not the 22nd, but we'll look to March. We'll have an update for council, kind of the trend and where we're headed, and hopefully by February 22nd, the next meeting will be there so that we can make some announcement to go back live. And that's a reminder too that our next council meeting is on a Tuesday. It's Tuesday, the 22nd of February instead of the 21st, because that's the President's Day, and we're closed on that day. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, I have no mayor's reports. Any city council comments?
Got a question.
Alderman McClatchy, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess this is directed to Director Hobson. I've gotten questions and on social media about the lights on Veterans Memorial Park. Some say they're going to stay up all year. Some say they're going to come down. Some after, St. Patrick's Day. My opinion is I would like to see the trees that are wrapped stay there all year long. I think they're beautiful. So I don't know. Can you give us an update on that?
They will stay up until St. Patrick's Day. So we're going to add some green to them. And then we're just going to assess and take a look at what they look like at that point. I don't know. I wouldn't imagine that we'll leave all of them up. But probably some key trees will leave up that have been really well received. I know there has been an outcry to leave those lights up.
Yeah, they're nice. And you guys did a good job this year. I mean, I think the
Pat
second
and
year.
his crew do an amazing job. We're so lucky to have them put the time and effort into that. It's been phenomenal.
Thank you.
All right, Alderman Strack, go ahead.
Just to piggyback on Alderman McClatchy's comment, Mr. Hobson, those lights would look fantastic in the park on Thursday nights. Lastly, just as a reminder, May 19th will be the opening concert series for the Thursday night concerts in the park. And the opening will be dueling pianos in the park. So just wanted to give everybody here a little kickoff preview of what this summer is going to look like out there. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right.
It is a great schedule you guys have put together. That's for sure. Thank you, Alderman Strack.
Alderman Gleb, go ahead.
Yeah, this is pick on Bill night.
Big shoulders, Andy. I can take it.
Mayor, you took and I think put on Facebook that Director Hobson's going to be taking care of the boat launch or the boat launches this year.
At the marina? You're talking about the marina or our boat launch?
I'm sorry, not the boat launch. Yes, the marina.
Yeah, that was my post about the marina, and I'll have something to present to you on the 22nd that I would like to proceed with an operator versus us trying to take that on. But I'll have that laid out for you and some details to present to you. The post was primarily to try to get in touch with those slip owners. We do not have that contact information from them, so I'm trying to let them know that in fact they will have a guaranteed slip this summer.
Yeah, maybe contact the paper and ask them to do an article on it. If people read it in the paper, they'll start calling you. And then
I think the word's getting out. The word definitely got out.
Again, one of the major reservations, first thing that hit me was how do we get the boats into the water? The big ones. So I'm glad to hear that we're looking at getting somebody to do that. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Alderman Gleb.
Alderman Santos.
What do we got?
No, I'll jump on the bandwagon. Saturday morning, that downtown crew that cleans off the sidewalks, it was like a machine. Half a dozen guys, the main guy went by, and then you had the other smaller snow blowers just kick the stuff away. And, Green Street was done in about 15 minutes. It was incredible. Looked great. Great little crew there.
Yeah, thank you. They work hard. All of our city crews work hard. It's been a nice for us to take that on and not have to have certain businesses shovel, certain ones don't. So for us to be able to get in there in downtown and do our best to clear that out with parking lots and sidewalks, I think it's over the last 2 years it's worked pretty well. I don't think we haven't gotten hammered, knock on wood, but it's worked pretty well. And I think we'll have another budget request that'll help us put some tools for them to be able to do that as efficiently as possible.
Thank you.
Real quick before we adjourn, I do want to mention for Rise Up Foundation, we did announce Dustin Lynch and Brad Paisley for the headliners for Friday and Saturday, September 16th and 17th. We'll be announcing the other openers, other 4 openers, 2 for each night, one next month and the 1 month after, just to kind of give it some time to get out there. We're 50% sold out of Brad Paisley already, which is insane. So that's a positive thing, but well, it'll come back towards council. Bill, don't we have to put something together for liquor license and all that soon? So that,
Yes.
that'll all come back so we can go ahead and get the liquor license for that.
Yeah, we'll also have Fiesta Days and Blues Brews and Barbecue. Those are all be coming forward. I just got the requests for Fiesta Days and Blues Brews and Barbecue last week. So I know Chief and we've talked about packaging just all of those as a whole and bringing them to council.
Perfect. Thank you. And then if any council members want to volunteer at Rise Up, I know Vic Santi was there last year. Sean Strack was there. But anyone that wants to volunteer or participate, definitely reach out to me and we'll find a spot for you for sure. So Alderman Strack.
Just to piggyback on that, Mayor, we for the Thursday nights, we actually moved our schedule as well. So we will have a country band on the Thursday before your weekend so that we can help, market that whole weekend in the area. So you're going to draw lots of out of town people. Maybe we can draw them earlier, get a little more dollars spent in town and have a 3-night event, so we move that schedule around as well. So just want to let you know about that.
Yeah, I'd like to set up a booth at every Thursday night too. So for Rise Up, so we'll discuss that. So thank you.
Wayne, yeah. If I volunteer, can you get my wife to meet Brad Paisley, maybe a drink or something?
Absolutely. For your wife, not for you though. Yeah. All right, sounds good. So can I get a motion to adjourn? Alderman Strack?
Motion.
Second, Alderman Santi?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Strack,
Yes.
Alderman Santi,
Yes.
Alderman Glad,
Yes.
Alderman McClatchy,
Yes.
Alderman Harding,
Yes.
Alderman Devine,
Yes.
Alderwoman Miller.
Yes.
Have a good night,
Thank you,
guys.
council. Thank you, staff. Have a good evening.